Welcome back to Exquisitely Aligned, where we empower you to express your truest self so that you can live the life you desire and deserve, the one where you become that impact that we are missing. Because I feel like so often we are asked to be other than what we are. And when that happens, I like to think or say we start falling apart. We become uncomfortable, maybe uneased or diseased. And today I'm excited to share with you someone who I know you're going to fall in love with. This is Melissa Daly. She is an integrative mind-body health practitioner. If you don't know what that is, you need to look her up. Also trained in NLP, timeline therapy, and hypnotherapy teacher. She's dedicated to helping her clients discover the root cause. Now, I want to read that again because I'm a big, huge proponent to root cause, and we'll give that a little voice today too. She's dedicated to helping her clients discover the root cause, okay, of their health issue, and I think the word "to" is missed. To truly heal while detoxing their physical, mental, and emotional bodies. Melissa's business is 100% virtual, and she works with the entire English-speaking world. I love that. So welcome, Melissa. It's so lovely to share this time with you and get to know you on a deeper level.
Thank you so much for having me, Gina. I appreciate this opportunity to have this conversation and let people know the options in their healing journey.
Absolutely. There is more than what most people know. And yes. I am a big proponent of the art of creating beauty in our lives. I did an entire series of that, a whole season, and one of which is our life and how we live, how we appear, how we feel, and our health falls into that category. And I believe when we're exquisitely aligned, we live from our truest selves. And sometimes there are parts in our life where we might be in a career and it's not quite working, or something falls apart. It could be our health, like my husband's health falling apart at a time that I thought was inappropriate, right? Like somebody asked me, hey, is it okay that your husband is like lying there dying while you just adopted this child from Guatemala and your biological son is in kindergarten? Yeah, no. But has there ever been anything in your life that shifted or changed a perspective for you?
Absolutely. I was in a career for 24 years in the corporate world that I really enjoyed. And then one day along comes Big Fish and they buy the little fish company that I worked for. And I was let go with an hour to clear out my desk and no word of thanks. 1 hour and no word of thanks after 24 years.
And looking back, was there tension prior to this? Like, did you feel like something huge was coming down the pike? That's 1 hour.
I knew the sale was happening. But in my 24 years, the company had been sold 4 other times and it didn't change my job, right? Yeah. So I knew the sale was happening, but I didn't know that I was going to be ousted with an hour to clear out my desk. Looking back with 2020 perfect vision, I'm very grateful that this happened. However, in that moment, I knew 3 things. I was never going to work for someone else again. That whatever I did next needed to be more of service to humanity and the planet, and that I had no idea what that would be. But I was open to being guided. Yeah. And I had 2 teenage daughters at the time, and my husband had his career, and so we didn't want to move. So I had to do whatever I was going to do in the place that we were living in, which, somewhat limits your opportunity, right? And but I was guided, and it's been an incredible journey. I was first guided into understanding toxicity and how that impacts our health.
Oh, absolutely.
And I realized, because I was introduced to brain supplementation, and I kind of went, I use my brain 24/7. Why have I never been taught that I could do more for my brain? We have near epidemic Alzheimer's and dementia over here, and I've never heard about this before. And I have a grandmother over here who was 99 years old, still living at home by herself, fully cognitively functioning. Mm-hmm. And it made me think, okay, I have great genes, but something had me ask, is that enough?
Yeah.
And I started comparing her life to my life. And she was born in little old Christchurch, New Zealand, in the bottom corner of the world before World War II and the advent of all the toxins we have today, growing all their own food on the property.
Right. That was the point I was hoping you would make, right? Growing all the food on their property, rotating the crops, eating what was available at that time, not something that was out of season, right?
Exactly. Or worse, in a package. And I was raised in Tokyo, Japan in the 70s, in the height of manufacturing plants spewing out toxins. And so I realized, I'm way more toxic than my grandmother ever was. So if I want to get on her path, I need to do something about that. And I started learning about the brain and the toxicity to the brain and to our body and how that impacts our health, and that it is a major factor in the near epidemic levels of chronic illness we have in the world today.
Right.
And then I went through the process of both of my daughters having concussions at the same time and me not working full time. And so going to their appointments with them because they didn't have the cognitive ability to go to the appointment and come home and tell me what the practitioner had told them to do.
Yeah.
And of course, the healing doesn't happen at the appointment. It happens between the appointments, right? So I wanted to support them through this. And I realized people need more support on their health journey.
Absolutely.
I also learned that the body doesn't heal in a stressed out state.
No. Or in a stressed out environment, right? So if that person doesn't feel stressed out, but there's stress in the home, or stress in their office, and they're spending 40, 60 hours, Lord knows how long there, you're right. So repeat that one more time. The body
does not heal in a stressed out state. And you're right. That's where most of us are living in today's world, in that state of fight or flight. And if you're ill with something and you're trying to figure it out on your own, well, guess what? That's stressful. Because you're going to Google, Dr. Google maybe, and you're trying to figure it out. And there's so much information. I heard a term today, infobesity, so much information that you don't know what is right. And so then you're, second guessing yourself and you're going down this rabbit hole and then that rabbit hole and you're not getting out of stress, right?
I call it crowdsourcing your confidence, where you're giving away your confidence because you're listening to 30 other sources and not running it by your own authority, I like to say, but your inner essence that says, is this right? Like, feel into it. What I read, does this make sense for me and my lifestyle? Like you looking at your grandmother instead of Googling a million other people, but looking at your grandmother and saying, how does my life mirror her and how is mine totally different than hers? And finding those places. I love that. And infobesity, I wrote that down. That's a good one too.
Yes, exactly. Right. And so I guided my children's healing journey. And then I live in a small town. People knew our story, were asking me to help them with their spouse's concussions or their children's, et cetera, et cetera. And I was asked to work in a holistic clinic. However, I couldn't get insurance as a practitioner because I didn't have any training. So that sent me back to school and I became a health coach. Now, at first I thought I was going to go to school to become a life coach. And I called a friend and said, hey, where did you do your life coaching certification? And he said, you don't need to be a life coach. You need to be a health coach. Well, that was the second drop from the universe because I've never even heard that term before. But the moment he said it, I knew that's what I wanted. And I jumped right in. Within 10 days, I started in the next cohort and started learning things about my own body that I had no idea. And I, again, questioned, how is it that I'm in my 40s and I don't know this about my own body?
Well, and so what was the answer that you heard? How is this that I didn't know about myself? Because I think that is something I'd love you to give a voice to, because I think there are a lot of people that I've passed, some that I've worked with, but more people that I've passed in conversation that I'm like, oh, they're disconnected, right? From
That's part of it. And my answer was because you've been busy building your career, raising your girls, being a wife. And my first degree was a commerce degree, right? So this information that I was starting to learn isn't taught through our education system or public health. And so that's the disconnect, right? It wasn't readily available to me. And I was busy on my own path. And my aha was, if I don't know this, how many other people are in the same boat as me and they don't know it either? And what if I could bring this information to them in bite-sized pieces where they could start implementing change in their life? Because when we know more we can do more. We have more
Absolutely.
choices. Information is powerful. And I was starting to implement these changes in my life, and just baby steps so that it was manageable. And, honestly, I'm 50. I just turned 55. I feel better than I did at 35 because of what I know today and how I can take preventative action in my health and optimize my sleep, optimize my energy, optimize my nutrition, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And I have a lot to do in this world. So I want to optimize the length of my life as well, just like my grandmother did.
Right.
So this is what I now work with other people on, in sharing this information. And that's why I started my own podcast, Don't Wait for Your Wake Up Call, and am such a proponent for root cause.
Yes.
Our medical system, unfortunately, is broken. Our acute care, phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's failing us when it comes to chronic illness. Because we're looking at symptoms and we're putting you in a box and we're masking those symptoms,
right,
which causes another symptom because the body's going, that's not what I wanted. I want you to do something differently here. So let me give you another symptom and see if I can get you to react, and you get another drug.
Yes.
Versus, let's understand why you have this in the first place. As an example, maybe you go to the doctor and you get told you have high cholesterol, and they say, here's a drug. And you're supposed to take the drug every day for the rest of your life in order to bring your cholesterol levels down. My question is, why is your cholesterol high? It wasn't high 10 years ago.
Right.
Why is it high now? Mm-hmm. Let's get to that issue to resolve it for you so that your cholesterol isn't high anymore. Right?
What is the body asking for? What is it asking for that it's missing? Or what is it asking you to stop doing or being or eating? Or, it could be anything. We talked about stress too.
Exactly.
What is the root cause? I am a huge proponent of, because when you attack, so I just, for those who maybe have never heard that word or those words together, root cause, is it comes down to what is causing this symptom that you're seeing, right? And you're right. When we take medications that are just numbing the systems or putting a Band-Aid over it, oftentimes then the Band-Aid, the glue starts to come undone. So we have to put on another little Band-Aid here with another medicine. And when that comes undone, we put another one. And before you know it, this person has 3 different Band-Aids on.
Or 8 or 10 or more.
And each of them have side effects.
Yes.
Because the body is saying, no, that's not what I asked for. I asked for you to help me over here. And this is just, a temporary fix. And so root cause for me is always the key. And I always want to know what is going on in someone's life. I had somebody I worked with yesterday, ironically, she had a cough and kept coughing and coughing and coughing. And she has respiratory trouble, all throughout her life. And I said to her, coughing from an emotional standpoint is, I want to be seen. I want to be heard. You're like barking at the world.
Trying to get something out. Yes.
Yes. Like a cat with a fur ball. I'm a visual person.
Yes.
But you know what I mean? Like it's that.
Absolutely.
It's that intense. And so when I dove a little deeper with her and asked her a couple more questions, there was a client she has, a paying client, who's not listening and not following the advice of the person she is paying, which is
right.
I'm talking to. And so I said to her, do you see that? So sometimes the root cause, it could be within the body or it could be outside of the body that's irritating. Maybe I would use the word a weakness or a place that is, maybe operating at 98% instead of 100, or a place that's not so happy. So I love the fact that we're talking about root cause. So I think you used the example of cholesterol. Let's go back to that.
Yeah. So my work, I'm not a doctor. So I don't diagnose and I don't cure. What I'm doing is looking for the imbalances, the deficiencies, the toxicities. And this is what can trigger high cholesterol, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, PMS, menopausal symptoms, et cetera, et cetera. All of these are symptoms of your body asking you to do something differently.
Like waving
and instead of waving a hand, saying, hello, pay attention to me. And that's when you get curious and go, why is this happening? Just like you with your client with the cough. Yeah. And I fully agree with all of that. Our body has such a powerful ability to heal when we pay attention and we seek the support of somebody who can guide us through understanding what's going on, right? And so I work with all four bodies, the physical body, the mental body, the emotional body, and the spiritual body in order to detoxify all of them. And we need to detoxify before we start putting in healing protocols, right? If we have an overflowing trash can in a city park and we put a healthy apple on top, it doesn't get down inside the trash can. It just falls to the side.
Right.
Well, that's what happens if I start giving you really great supplements to help your body heal, but it's getting into this mix mosh of toxicity inside our body. Let's clear the toxins out, reset the body, get the liver functioning properly so that anything we're putting in actually gets to the cells that need it. And that's how we expedite the healing process for you.
Exactly.
Even before we get to that point, though, I run functional medicine labs for people. They get mailed to your home so that we can discover those deficiencies and imbalances, etc. So, I'm not just waving a magic wand. We're looking at what truly is going on inside your body while also working with the emotional body, those stuffed down emotions that you were taught as a child that you shouldn't feel, don't show your emotions, etc. That over time build toxicity, or the mental toxicity, the voices in your head. What are they saying? Are you in a trance of I can't, I'm not good enough, etc.? Or are you in an empowering trance of how can I achieve this, right? As well as the spiritual toxicity. So all of this together, when we address all four bodies, is what allows for us to truly heal. And I love it because it's what our body is designed to do. We just need to tap into following the process.
Absolutely. I always like to give people, when they don't believe that, I say, when you align exquisitely, when you listen to your heartfelt desires and live them out, when you listen to and become aware of your soul level truths and use your gifts, there's three different things that come, and one of which is your rejuvenating body. And when they look at me, like questioning, what does that mean? Why are you telling me I'll have more energy, more vibrancy? It's because it's true. And what I like to say is the body makes its own Band-Aid. If you've ever been around a child who's tripped and skinned their knees, or been one who's done it multiple times, you know that you really don't have to, in my opinion, if it's a small one, don't have to put a Band-Aid on. Once you wash it up, your body will make its own Band-Aid. We call it a scab, okay? But that is how magical, or how we have this internal pharmacy that the body is always trying to heal itself and make it better. And like you said earlier, we have to make sure we're not in a stressful place or a stressful state in order to do that. So I'd like to add one thing there that you also said, and that is with exquisitely aligned, we talk about someone like Nora, who may have been the nice girl all her life, people pleasing. And therefore she might become tired, exhausted, and not taking care of herself, not knowing she's enough. And then you could be Rachel, the rebel, who's constantly fighting the world. And that's exhausting. Just me saying the word fighting makes me tired. Or Fran, who's gone back and forth between being the good girl, then became the rebel teenager, then became the good employee, the good wife, then got divorced, then became the rebel. Now she's, whatever age, and she's wiped down, exhausted. But what I want to share that about is we have to be careful and realize that when we do things like that, we might put ourselves in a place that we're uncomfortable, unease, and then disease comes into the body. Like you were talking about those emotions that are stuffed down. And it could be as simple as resenting the fact that you're so nice to everybody, or that you've given up parts of yourself to be the perfect wife or mother, or both, and so getting to those root causes in all four levels of the body is such a beautiful blessing that you're able to give back. So I'm so glad that you lost your career on that day, because I'm wondering, had you not, if you would be where you are now.
I wouldn't be, because I really did love that career. But as I look back now, I realized this, and I knew very quickly, this is my purpose. This is my passion. This is what I'm supposed to be doing in my time now.
Yeah.
And it was really fascinating because I started questioning. I was learning so much and I couldn't get enough. And not only was I learning it, I was retaining it all. And my friends were like, how do you know all this stuff? Right. Mm-hmm. And the more I learned, the more I wanted. And I was questioning, how is this so easy for me? Yes. Right. And then I had my Akashic records read at the end of December 2020. And I was told that I've been a healer in all my past lives. Yeah. I've been a white witch. I've been a wizard. I've, she saw me creating potions and then having all my recipe books burned because of course I was a witch. And I realized that's why this comes easily. I've done it before. It just took me this long in this life to get back to where I was always supposed to be. But I had to learn everything along the way to get to here where I can truly serve my clients from that place of service and knowledge and experience that I've had along the way. And of course, you always attract the exact right client for you, right?
Correct.
And so I understand their path because really they're just an earlier version of me.
Exactly. And that's so brilliant to say in that way, shape, and form, because you feel connected and and I love that you work with the root causes. So I'm looking at the clock. It looks like I have to let you go in a couple minutes. So if you're okay, I'd love to pull a card from the Opening to Possibilities deck. These cards were designed to help us to be our own kind of beautiful, which I know that you're already being, but I just will shuffle them a tad. And then you just tell me when to stop, and wherever my thumb is, I'll read the card to you. So there's a word, so I'll start now. There's a word on here, and then a statement and 3 questions.
Stop.
Yeah, perfect. Blissed out, which is perfect, ideal. So Blissed Out is the first name in the parent company, Blissed Out Fit and Feisty, which is my company. Blissed Out has a huge connection to me. So I'm glad you got this card because I think it suits you beautifully. Would you agree?
I agree. And I love the sunflower on it. The sunflowers just bring me so much joy.
They're mine too. So Blissed Out means to be ecstatic, blissful, and euphoric, which I already know you are. There's 3 questions. You can choose one or answer all. What is your definition of blissed out? What creates this feeling for you? How does it manifest in your life? Which I know it does.
So I'm going to answer the first one there. What does it mean to be blissed out? And honestly, for me, it means to be living my truth and living in a place of trust and knowing that I am doing exactly what I am meant to be, because in that place, I am in flow and life is easy and life is fun. And I'm not fighting anything like Roberta that you mentioned earlier, Rachel.
right, Rachel the Rebel, right?
Yeah, Rachel the Rebel. Yeah.
Right, that is so, but Roberta works too. I just picked an R so that I, rebel. But that is exactly, and I interrupted you. Was there more? Sorry.
No, that was everything there that I was going to say. Yeah.
But that is perfect. And that is exactly what exquisitely aligned means, is to be in that flow, be in the synergy, the vibrancy, living your best life, including your health. So I'm going to say thank you so much for being with us today, Melissa. Her information is below, and I encourage you to reach out to her as well. Her social information will be there, as well as her website. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Gina.
You're welcome.